Bullseye.
Father, why do I still feel guilty? The guilt means your work is not yet finished.
Hey everyone, Connie here. I am so excited about Daredevil Season 2. This week Netflix released their final trailer for the season and it looks awesome. But if you don't have Netflix, the crazy success of Marvel's Daredevil Season 1 may have flown under your radar. So that's why Daredevil is the subject of this edition of Nerdy Notes. First of all, Daredevil, not to be confused with the Ben Affleck movie, is the official MCU version of the character. That means he fits in the same universe as the Avengers and all of their characters. But that's a really loose term of the word fit, and I'll get to that in a minute. If you haven't seen the first season of Daredevil, what have you been doing with your life? Seriously, that's a sentiment that not only do I feel, but a lot of other nerds have expressed. Please observe.
Dude, Daredevil.
Dude, Daredevil.
Dude, Daredevil.
Dude, Daredevil. Daredevil, or as he is also known, the Man Without Fear, centers around Matt Murdock, the son of boxing legend Battlein' Jack Murdock. Matt saves an old man when he pushes him out of the way of a speeding truck and is blinded by the truck's cargo, a shockingly poorly sealed container of radioactive waste. Ah, radioactivity, the magic dust of the 1960s. Young Matt is blinded and loses his vision immediately, but soon after he realizes that his other senses have amplified to superhuman levels. He can smell what you've had for lunch, hear your heartbeat to see if you're lying. He can even read the raised lettering of typeface on a page. His senses combined give him a view of the world that's almost like echolocation. In fact, they're so spot on, very few characters in the Marvel universe are even aware that Daredevil is blind. Well, that isn't until much later when his not-so-hidden identity kind of becomes a running joke. Oh, and on the show, it seems like he's an expert at parkour. And cry face. Matt keeps his abilities to himself to blend in. He was found and trained in martial arts by a blind master named Stick because that's something that happens to people regularly. Flash forward, Matt is studying law alongside his best friend Foggy Nelson when his father is murdered after refusing to throw a fight. Now in the 1960s when Daredevil was introduced, he wore a yellow and red costume, kind of like a trapeze artist, hence the name Daredevil. But his iconic red costume, which we get to see all of 12 minutes of in season 1, draws on the more religious undertones of the series. R.I.P. Man Without Fear era black ninja costume, you were the best. Matt continues this lawyer by day, vigilante by night charade. He co-owns a law firm with his friend Foggy Nelson, and while he has indirectly caused the death of some of his enemies, he maintains a Batman-esque mantra of never outright killing anyone, which makes him clash with lethal vigilantes like the Punisher. Now the Punisher, aka Frank Castle, you may remember from several movies. He's an ex-Marine who goes all death wish after his wife and kids are murdered by the mob. He kills like everybody, like seriously, everyone. And for some reason people are still surprised every time he does it, like they didn't see that coming, but he's the Punisher. It's funny I mentioned Batman because Frank Miller, who wrote The Dark Knight Returns, is widely credited for writing some of the best Daredevil stories of all time. Just like what he did with Batman, Miller's version of Daredevil takes on a much grittier tone, adding a noir-like crime story complete with drug addiction, Matt's struggle with his sanity, ninjas, and the introduction of Matt's crazy ex-girlfriend, Elektra Nachios. No, just kidding, Elektra also deserves her own episode. She's a bounty hunter and an assassin, and she's wearing the most impractical costume ever drawn for a Greek ninja. Okay, and she's kind of crazy. But I am stoked about their inclusion in the Netflix series because they represent another version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we haven't seen yet, the dark side. Ever since the amazeball success of The Dark Knight, there have been a ton of formulaic releases and reboots attempting to make movies darker regardless of the source material. I'm talking about you, Man of Steel and Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Marvel Studios has yet to fall into that trap with their films, but on the other hand, they might have actually strayed too far away from anything dark and depressing. For example, the 5-minute white girl wasted scene in Iron Man 2, which comically glossed over Tony Stark's battle with alcoholism. Both Daredevil and Jessica Jones, also deserving of her own episode, were excellently crafted TV shows that dealt with some sensitive topics that the MCU would never touch. Daredevil is definitely worth your time. Take your top 3 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, and I guarantee you this show is on the same level as any one of them. It's the MCU's version of The Dark Knight, and I hate using that term. Not because it's gritty and dark, but for the reasons why The Dark Knight was so good. It's an organized crime drama with deep overlapping layers, an amazing ensemble of 3-dimensional characters, all led by a haunting and terrifying villain. Daredevil Season 2 premieres on Netflix on March 18th for your binge-watching pleasure. Season 1 is still available now, so you should definitely catch up on that. You will see why Daredevil was completely deserving of an Emmy.
It didn't win.
What?
It was only nominated for, like, Best Opening Title Sequence and Sound.
What? Son of a bitch! Alright, well, until next time.